Welcome to Movie Film. I'm Carl and I just watched a brand new movie called Soul from Disney and Pixar. Let's talk about it. Maybe watching Soul on the back of watching the worst movie of 2020, The Midnight Sky. Maybe that just tinted my opinion a little bit because I went from watching one of the worst movies I've ever seen to watching one of the best. Soul is sensational. And it's a weird one from Disney and Pixar. Because one thing I will say about this animated movie, I don't think kids are gonna like it. Because it's got a lot of sophisticated themes in it, and yeah, some kids get that stuff. But Disney lately have been focusing a lot on mature themes, but this one takes it to a whole new level. I think this one's more targeted at their grown-up children, people like me, movie fans who still love animation despite being far too old for it, who have an appreciation for the art of animation, who love a good story, and Soul tells one of the best stories in 2020, if not in the last, I don't know how many years. But Disney and Pixar movies, they're generally spectacular. Cars aside, they're generally spectacular. Even story-wise, they've been upping their game in recent years. Although they have dealt with some dark themes and heavy subjects in recent years, ever since Inside Out was a smash hit. But then you've got something like Coco, which definitely had a central theme of death. And then Onwards, a fairly recent Disney film, also dealt with death and grieving a lost parent. And now you move on to Soul, which again deals with death. You know, Disney, they've got a history with it. Don't forget Bambi. You know, they like killing things. Soul definitely seems to be targeted more at a sophisticated audience, at a more grown-up audience who get some of the themes. I don't think kids will like this film. You know, it's got jazz in it, generally not kids' favorite type of music. It's about a grown-up who is about to fulfill his life ambition, and his life takes an interesting turn, or should I say, ends. Spoilers. So our main character, he's a music teacher whose dream is playing with some big jazz musicians in big clubs, but when he gets his big break and he's about to get his first big show, get away from his teaching job, on his way home as he's celebrating, he dies. He falls down a manhole and that's it. End of life. But we see his soul, his little blue soul, got a hat and everything. Fantastic animation. And he's on this travelator, I guess, like you'd see in an airport, heading towards a blinding light. Who knows, maybe that's what it is. They say it's the great beyond, and he panics and he's terrified and he wants to get back to his life. He just had his big break, or was about to get his big break. He didn't want to die, so he tries everything to get away and somehow ends up slipping into the great before, where souls are made. In there, they've got an interesting thing of like it's souls before they're sent down to Earth. They're getting all their traits and everything, which leads to some funny moments. But he's ultimately confused for a mentor and assigned to the one soul that can't be finished, I guess. They can't find their spark. And through a series of events, these two end up teaming up together, and he has to try help 22, who is the soul who can't be fixed, find her spark before getting her Earth pass, which allows her to get to Earth. And this movie, it's got some heavy themes in it. It's gonna make you think. You know, you'll sit there and you'll be like, wow, did I do all that stuff with my life? And they have a scene where you see this guy's life in moments, almost like a museum or a gallery, and it makes you wonder what would your own life be. And it's got some very heavy subjects, but I love that in movies. I love that this movie, despite being an animated movie, which a lot of people would think is targeted towards kids, brings out heavy thoughts, heavy emotions, and makes you think. But on top of that, the storytelling throughout is just fantastic. The voice acting is great. They got their casting spot on. Jamie Foxx, Tina Fey, Richard Ayoade in there as well, who's always great for voice animation because he's got such a unique voice. From an Irish perspective, we got Graham Norton in there, the host of the Graham Norton Show, which was a surprise hearing his voice in this movie. And Disney and Pixar have really been upping their game in recent years because, you know, they've always been fantastic. Toy Story started it all, sensational. Ever since then, they've had some hits and misses. I didn't think they were ever going to do better than WALL-E. I've got them back there on the shelf. One of my favorite movies, WALL-E. It's got a great story, it's got a great lovable character. It's a well-told story. I didn't think they'd ever do better than that. Then Inside Out came out a few years ago, blew me away with how amazing that was. And ever since then, they've had Coco, as I mentioned earlier, which is just sensational. And then Onwards, I watched not too long ago, and I was blown away by that. That was a sensational movie, great storytelling. And now we've got Soul. And where would I say Soul ranks amongst Disney movies? It's definitely top 3 for me. I think it's a phenomenal movie. And I'm sure there's a lot of people out there who disagree. Maybe they don't like the heavy subject matter, or who knows what else. But I personally, when I watched this movie on Christmas Day, I'm a few days late with the review, when I watched this movie, I just found myself engrossed. I was locked in. Everything outside that story just faded away for 2 hours. And the interesting thing is, I watched The Midnight Sky just last week, and I did my review saying it's the worst movie ever. It was a 2-hour movie that felt like a 4-hour movie. It just dragged and dragged and dragged. Soul is a similar runtime, and it just flew by. The story gripped me. It was great storytelling all the way through. It kept me engaged all the way through, and I wasn't questioning weird science or why is George Clooney doing this. I was just focused on the characters, the great storytelling. As I've said many times, I keep repeating myself now. Okay, the title of the video, it's not as big as saying the worst movie of 2020, because there hasn't been a whole lot of new releases in 2020. But the best movie of 2020 for me personally is definitely Soul, despite its biggest competition being like Sonic the Hedgehog or who knows what. So ladies and gentlemen, if you liked today's video, please hit that like button just so I know what you're watching. At the time of recording, we've just hit 95 subscribers. We're only 5 away from hitting the 100 mark before the end of the year, which would be sensational. Not sure we're gonna get there, but with your help, if you hit that subscribe button, if you like what you're seeing today and you hit that subscribe button, you'll get us one step closer to the 100 mark, and that would be greatly appreciated. And with all that said and done, thank you so much for watching.